Hello, everyone. You are listening to the C Squared podcast with Corey and Curtis. Today, we are here with Holly Royle of Deviate PR, a PR maven in the music world, who will be giving us some tips, some tricks, and some advice during the chat. So first, I just want to say thank you for being here today. We definitely appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
And so just for people who aren't really familiar with you yet, who may not know what you're doing and what you're about, why don't you give like a nutshell version of how you got, going in PR, what you're working on now, what attracted you to PR, and yeah, just give us the short version of your life story.
Sure. Well, my background really is as a musician first. I've been guitarist, keyboardist for a number of years. And then I sort of stumbled into music journalism at university because a friend of mine was running his own music blog. So I just thought, oh yeah, I'll get involved with this. This is pretty cool. I sort of through that I discovered music PR even existed as an industry by itself, because it was just not really anything I'd actually encountered before. So yeah, I started writing for his blog, and then I was sort of scouted a bit to write for a couple of other blogs. And then I thought, yeah, okay, I quite like marketing, I quite like music side of things. I'll just, see if I can get involved with the PR side of things. And then, I thought, right, okay, try setting up my own business and see how this goes. So that's sort of where I'm at now, really.
How many years have you been doing it for, Holly?
Yeah, just over a year with Deviate PR.
So let me ask you the first question then. So how does one land, or how did you land your first client? How did that happen?
That was a bit of networking in my sort of local area, really. I was talking to someone who runs a small record label, and they pointed out a small band, sort of like punk hard rock trio, who were looking for PR for like one of their first singles. So I sort of got them first, and that was really nice actually working with them, because they came back to me afterwards for a few of the releases. And yeah, a few of the local bands as well, sort of networking like that.
So okay, so like how did you kind of present yourself in order to get that client? Because I mean, most how do I explain this? Like, I think you know as well as I do that most people are kind of on their guard working with someone new. So what did you do? I'm curious how you got it.
I think it was possibly through sort of recommendation, in the respect that I'd been talking to people for a while, and I did actually turns out I knew one of the band members because I went to university with his girlfriend, so that kind of helped, that they sort of knew roughly who I was. I wasn't just some random person on the internet sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay, so now you've got the first client. Then how did you start the company after that? So after the first client happened?
I had a lot of help in terms of the business side of things at uni. Actually, I did a business course alongside my master's degree. Nice. So everything in terms of like website building, how to market your as a business, financial accounting, all that sort of stuff, I had an awful lot of help with. So I know I'm perhaps quite privileged in that respect, because it's not everybody gets to do that.
So okay, so then how long was it between start getting the first client and actually, like, business wise, you're officially Deviate PR?
It was around about the same time actually with them, the first one.
So you just started the company as soon as you had a client?
Well, I started slightly before, and then they came in not too long after the starting date.
Wait.
Sorry.
So you started the company and then you got the client? Yeah,
as in first paid client, yeah.
Okay, no, I get it. I thought you were saying you got the client and then you started the company.
Oh, sorry. No, that's right. Yeah, sorry, I'm not explaining things very well. So my first paid, I'd started the company because it's been something that I'd been planning sort of a few months ahead. Then I launched in October 2019, and around the same time, I got talking to the hard rock trio. So yeah.
Okay, no, I get it now. So when you started, I'm going to fire this over to Corinne for the next question in a minute, but I just for the background part. So you already had a background in marketing and business, you said, right? And then you basically studied courses in college, then launched the company, then found the first client. That's the sequence so far?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Before I get it over to Corinne, my next question is, how did you get more clients after that first client?
Some of it was friends. So friends of mine who were in other bands, obviously they know me quite well and they were starting to see what I was doing. Otherwise it was social media, actually. I had a couple of people through LinkedIn that actually turned out to be quite useful. And yeah, mainly I think Instagram as well. Had a couple of people through there.
Interesting. Okay, so you started a little bit differently than I did. That's kind of interesting.
Right.
Corinne, you want to take over with the pitching questions?
Oh no, yeah, definitely. Unless you have anything else you wanted to touch base on history-wise.
Well, I have one more before I turn
see. This is why I asked, because he's like the Billy Mays of conversation. But wait, just one more thing.
Wait, one more. Okay, so next question is, so is this your PR is it full-time or is it not full-time? Because
it's not currently full-time, no.
Because that leads me to the next part. That's why I want to ask. Okay, so now, assuming you have a full-time job, is that a correct assumption?
No, not at the moment.
No, okay, but part-time, but you do work?
Yeah, I've got some part-time work at the minute.
Okay, cool. So now, how do you kind of schedule your time for the PR business without interfering with the other job?
All of the work I do at the moment is quite flexible, so I know that's a little bit unusual. Because it's more freelance based at the minute, so it's kind of scheduling isn't too much of a problem for me at the moment.
Okay, well then okay, so then that I don't need to ask the next question because it was going to involve if you had a full-time job. So I'm gonna fire it over to Corinne for pitching question.
So I mean, I'm a journalist and I see a lot of pitches. I work with Curtis a bit, so I write a lot of pitches. And I know each of us, we have some common like do's and don'ts of things that it's like blatantly obvious, don't do this, or you should be doing this. But what, in your opinion, are the do's and don'ts of pitching a publication or, a playlist or anything like that?
I think the first thing is be polite, be nice. The amount of messages I get where it's just like a link or hey, review this and a link. And I just think, introduce yourself, please. Tell me a bit about your band. It doesn't have to be a full bio, but, basic stuff, genre, when your release is, things like that. So that's definitely kind of I don't know, to me that should be like a basic thing, but so many people seem to miss it.
And do you ever get the pitches? I know Curtis gets these and they're super annoying, where the band is just like, we're not going to send you our music until we decide that until you decide that you're going to work with us. And like, how do you handle that situation?
I haven't had that exact situation as yet, but I have a lot of messages where I guess they don't realize that they need to send the music straight away.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I've always got to sort of chase up for it.
Just out of curiosity on that, because we're kind of going both back now. Now we're kind of fluctuating. I'm going to lead off. I'm going to lead off. I'm going to go off. Okay, I'm going off path, Corinne, just for a second.
No, that's like our MO. We always go off trail.
I'm going off trail for a second here. So okay, so what do you do? Band asks to hire you. They don't send any music. What comes next? I want to hear what happens with you, and then I'm going to go over mine.
I'll usually do the thing of I'll send them my information in terms of sort of like services and pricing and stuff, but I will always do it at the same time of I need to hear your music before we can go ahead.
Fair.
That sort of thing, because then I feel as though it's kind of an even exchange of, okay, they're not waiting for me to send them information, but at the same time I've not promised until I know what's going on, sort of thing.
Because what I usually do is I kind of do the similar thing. I send prices. I say, okay, if these prices work out and if I'm interested in your music, this is what you would be paying. So if you're interested, if that's what works for you, send me your music back. If it doesn't, fuck off and die. I don't. Not fuck off and die. You know what I mean? So,
wow. Curtis
But-
going straight for the throat on that one. He's
Well,
just,
she's PR. I can talk to her like this because she knows what I'm talking about. Like when a PR comes on, they know exactly what I'm talking about, because you get the tire kickers, the people that are wasting your time. They just want to talk and pick your brain, and then they don't ever want to do anything, right?
and by pick
I
your
have had
brain,
that, yeah.
usually they're looking for free information.
Yeah,
Basically, yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know how much you get at Holly, but I get that all the fucking time. So I just go, here's the price. That works. Send me the music. And if you don't want to, if you keep asking me a zillion questions after that, I'm going to assume that you're not really interested and that you just want to pick my brain. One thing I noticed, again, I'm kind of deviating again. Sorry, Corinne, but
Oh, you're fine.
one thing I noticed is you have on your website that you do phone consultations right off the bat. Does that work out? Because I wouldn't want to do that. That would scare me, just because I think I'd get too many tire kickers. I want to hear what happens with you.
To be honest, I've not done really many of those at all. I sort of put it out there as if I don't know if it would suit some people, I'm happy to do it, sort of thing. But I've not actually had that many takers.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
What has your experience been when you had the phone consultation? Because you say it's 1 hour. Like I couldn't do that.
It's up to an hour, but to be honest as well, actually the ones that I've had, they've taken place over Messenger rather than an actual spoken phone call. Which again I'm happy to do, because I know a lot of people don't like talking on the phone and stuff, but yeah. But again, there is a bit of a line, isn't there, between giving advice versus people fishing for more and more information. And so there is a point where you sort of have to be like, yeah, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
If you want any extra help, here are my services.
Do you have an actual kind of like guideline that you use on those calls / messenger thing?
I have a rough-ish sort of thing, but it's not quite it's not quite that organized.
Okay, fine. Now let's go back into pitching again. Sorry, Corinne, we had started this. I just had to ask.
No, it's totally okay. And it's, it's good information that people have, or that people need. They don't have it, they need it. I can't talk today. It's one of those days. I don't think I've had enough coffee. But back to pitching. So let's actually just talk about, because we've talked a lot about pitching publications, but let's talk more about pitching PRs. Other than not sending the music, when somebody's reaching out to you wanting to work with you, what are some other either mistakes or red flags that make you kind of leery about working with a band?
I think one issue that I get quite a lot, that I think is possibly more just because people don't know really, is the time scales. So a lot of people get in touch with me, like, to be fair, most of them, they are a few weeks in advance, but there's times where, it needs to be a good couple of months, especially if they want like print and things like that. So I think it should be on my website somewhere. If it's not, I'll go and fix that. Get in touch with me like 8 to 12 weeks in advance sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know if it's just fans aren't aware of that or what it is. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're definitely unaware, because I've been seeing a lot of tight timelines, especially as of late.
Yep.
And I've been working in a lot of tight timelines as of late. And it's, the saying, if you're reaching out 6 weeks before your album drops, you're 6 weeks too late.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Just on that note though, so when you're taking on a client, what are you kind of looking for? Because I know with me, I look for do I think it's up to a certain quality? Number one, obviously. B, I look at the lyrics, make sure there's nothing I find personally offensive about it or anything like that. And then C, I have to be sold that publications are going to want to cover it as well. Because I might like something, but maybe no one else is. I don't think it's going to be able to get coverage. You know what I mean? What do you kind of look for?
Yeah, I think quality is definitely, I think, number one. And it's one of those things. I don't ever really want to turn someone down if they're, doing something different purely on the basis of, they're not commercial enough. But at the same time, it is like you say, you've got to make sure that publications will even consider it, because otherwise it's, I don't want to be wasting anyone's money or anything like that. Yeah, and I guess quality as well in terms of like, you know, the photographs that they've got maybe, or other marketing materials that they've prepared themselves. And I will go and look over the social media and see, are they taking this seriously, sort of thing.
Yeah. Now, okay, so you got those things. Do you check lyrics too, or no?
Yes and no. There are times in the past when I haven't, but it is something that, yeah, I am wanting to make sure that I do from now on, just in case.
I would
But
suggest.
I mean, I asked for them for the press pack anyway.
I would do it because I got bit one time by not doing that.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I would highly suggest
Yeah.
always check the lyric prior to taking on a band. What else do we want to know about pitching, Corinne?
So time frame wise, what would you do if a band was reaching out to you for something that has already come out? I know there are some PRs that push things that are like 6 months old. And as a writer, so that hat that I wear, I don't cover them. It's old news. So how do you handle that kind of a situation?
My usual response is no, basically. Because yeah, like you say, you know, magazines and blogs and webzines, the interest isn't there. The only time that I will say yes is there was one occasion where someone that I know quite well wanted to try some like radio stuff and things like that. So I did a small campaign with them, and it was quite successful actually. They got quite a lot of international radio play.
Cool.
But I did make it very clear to them, you know, this is several months after the release. Be aware of the fact that it's, yeah, you know, it is going to work against you, sort of thing.
I want to say my own take on this, if I'm allowed, Corinne. Am I allowed to speak? Okay, I'm allowed to speak. Okay.
Yeah, for now. You watch yourself.
I don't want to hog the conversation. What I do is sometimes, like if it's already been out, I'll do a re campaign. So like I'll get them to put out on CD or Bandcamp. Like Corinne has a client, for example, management client rather, and we're a deluxe edition of an album years ago with 2 new songs. So now that's what I will sometimes do in order to get that extra mileage out of an old release. And if they have you tried that?
I haven't tried that yet, so it'll be interesting to see, if I do it in the future, how it goes.
It can work. It can either do really well or else it'll completely bomb. I had it like I'm thinking it's going to work, and then it just goes nowhere. And then it's like you feel like, oh my god, I got no press, right? But in other instances, it can go really, really fucking well. Like for example, like with the person that Corinne sent me over that she's managing, we got so much press just in the last week, just because. Yeah.
I'm of the same boat that like if you can tack something new onto an old release, then you can try to re-push it. If the band won't do that, there's no point. Because it's not going to, all you're doing is taking people's money and not giving them any value, which I know that there's some PRs out there that do that. We won't name names, but they will do that. But then we tacked on the
PR's fault. I'm going to point that out.
No.
I point that out.
But they with them we tacked on the 2 new songs, or doing a video is another good way. It's like using this one thing to push the thing that you really want to push.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So Holly, so let's talk about pitching to publications for a minute here. We're going to turn sides on Corinne for a minute here and talk about us and them for a minute. So
it's like a battleground.
us and them, yes. So okay, so I don't know how big your contact list is or anything like that, but I'm going to assume you got a decent number of contacts because you do PR. And I know you do a bunch of different genres. So when you're pitching an outlet, do you mainly do like personal pitches, or do you mainly do form pitches, or is it a combo of both?
I tend to do personal.
Do you?
And I find it gives me much, much better results.
Fair.
I have tried more of a sort of standardized, just email blasting in the past, and it really didn't work
Fair.
for me.
So, well, how much time does that take you? Because I know I don't have the time to go and do like 1,000 personal pitches. Like, what do you do? Kind of tell me the method here.
I will usually write sort of like a template pitch email, I guess, and then I will tweak it for every individual publication, especially because I know some blogs, they have, particular requirements and submission things. So I just, I have on my contact list, I just have notes next to each publication of what they like and they don't like, sort of thing, and tweak it that way. So it is time consuming, but it's I know it works.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it works, it works. So like, let's say you were going to contact, you're going to pitch Corinne for metal injection. Like, what would you say? Like, what would you say? You got a band, you want to get metal injection. How would you pitch her? I know you don't really know her, but tell me what would be the process that you would do to pitch her, since she's sitting right in front of us.
Oh, okay. I mean, I try and make it personal, so I'll try and address it to the person if I've got your name, and things like that. And then I try and do like a really brief summary of the press release in a way, or like a sort of summary of band's bio, just obviously, release date, genre, any for fans of, I'll sometimes put that in as well. Just sort of a brief summary of, this is what it is. Here's the links to access the music if you want it. Here's all the social media links. If you need anything else, let me know, sort of thing. Because it's one of those things, I'm aware when you're getting 200 or even thousands of emails a day, it's difficult to read everything. But at the same time, if I don't put enough information in there, that you've then got to go fishing for more information, it sort of puts people off and they'll just skim past it.
Yep. So okay, so let's hear you pitch Corinne how you would do it with her, just exactly. I just want to hear exactly what you would do. I'm putting you on this.
I probably put like, oh, hi Corinne, good to meet you, or hope you're well, things like that, depending on whether introduced or not. Let's think.
Put her on the spot.
I'm trying to think. I know you put me on the spot now. I can't remember what I write.
Boom!
Oh my goodness.
Let's just Corinne right now. So Corinne's right in front of you. You got a band. You're trying to get them on metal injection, for example. I don't know if you have an exact one. I just want to hear what a fellow PR would say.
That's fine. So I'll use my own band because that helps me figure out what I'm saying. We sometimes like, I'm contacting you about the new album from Disconnected Souls. They are a metal electronic orchestral blend quartet from Chester.
Honestly, I'm just going to interrupt you just for a second. Yeah. If that's an actual band, please pitch me that, because that genre sounds awesome.
It's my band. It's my band.
Okay, please pitch me that because it's awesome sounding.
I will do. Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna check that out after this call because
I'm looking it up.
I love those kind of like just blended together, a million different things going on bands. Sorry, I got really excited. Continue with your pitch.
Oh my God, where did I get to? Oh, right. Yeah, let's see, release date, I don't know, whenever the release date is, there'll be something brief like, I'll put in, if I've got quotations from previous reviews and things like that, I'll put those in as well. So I know our EP we got 5 stars from Planet Mosh, so I'd put that in there and say like, previous release, I was awarded 5 stars by Planet Mosh. I sometimes put the names of the band members in, but I don't want to overcrowd it, so it'll depend how it's looking. Things like that. And then the usual, here's the link to the OneDrive if you'd like to access music, press release images, etc. I'll list all the band's social media links, because it's amazing how many emails I get that do not have links in them. And I'm like, please send me the links. And
social media links are so big, because I actually do check out the bands that are pitched to me to make sure that they're not like psychos, because I've been bitten once. Thankfully it wasn't too bad, but I did publish a band that I didn't do thorough enough of a background check on, and it was it wasn't horrible, but I was still like, damn it.
Oh, no.
Well, our good friend MB, whose name will not be spoken aloud on this podcast, accidentally did something like that one time that I will tell you both about after the podcast is over. But it was Sorry, Holly, I cut you off, and so did
We keep doing that. We keep interrupting this poor girl.
But now she knows you want her to pitch you. I mean, on her next album, and I mean, it looks like you guys released in last year, so it might be too late now. But
I know, it depends how far you want to backdate.
Corinne doesn't back.
No, I know. It's fine. I'll send you our new stuff whenever it comes out.
So what were you saying before we rudely interrupted you, if you remember?
I can't remember. It was something about
You
where
said
was I up to?
in the
journalist quotations. Yeah, sort of brief summary of the bio. So yeah, if they've got any I don't know, recent tours with other major bands or things like that, or maybe they've done collaborations with other big bands or any other artists. I usually stick those because I know the names will stick out if they're quite major. But if they're smaller bands, I might put it in the press release, but I won't put it in the email just because I'm aware it's taking up space. So usually just quite a fairly short paragraph with that, and then social media links, obviously linked to the press back and everything. And then I usually sign it off with a, obviously, if you need anything, please let me know. Thanks for considering the music, all that sort of stuff.
Okay, so we're at the half an hour mark, so now we need to speed up on the questions because 8 minutes left. I just realized we've only gone through like 2 things so far.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about networking for a second here. Networking. So the reason why you connected with me is you actually promoted me on your Facebook page, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And that was how you connected with me. So can you kind of go over some other types of successful actions you've taken personally to network with people?
And most of it is on social media, really. Actually, I mentioned LinkedIn earlier. LinkedIn does have a surprising amount of music journalists and musicians on there and other PRs. So yeah, I found that quite a useful platform. And the same with Instagram and Twitter. It's sort of, sometimes it's just, commenting on people's posts. Sometimes it is, sharing stuff. Sometimes it's kind of mutual connections and you get talking. Facebook groups as well. I've met quite a few people through one called the Metal Lab. So that's a really nice mixture. Yeah, the Metal Lab. It's worth having a look because you get quite a lot of different artists and various journalists in there. But yeah, I mean, your music marketing group, of course. Things like that. It's just sort of ways of finding something that you can connect with. And I mean, obviously music is quite a good thing to connect with anyway.
I agree. 100%. What other actions specifically would you suggest other than that?
I mean, when pandemic life goes, like just at gigs, I find talking to people at gigs, it's amazing who you can bump into. Things like that. I mean, that's something that I'm missing quite a lot at the moment, and I imagine it's, other people are perhaps struggling not going out and finding people physically.
100%. Corinne, do we have any more questions for her on networking before I go on the next one?
You go ahead if you want to move on.
No, I do.
Yeah, I think that the Facebook groups, though, are definitely good to become involved with. There's a lot of them out there. Just, looking up, well, the music marketing one that we're all in is fantastic. I'm going to check out the one that you mentioned. But just trying to be like active in a personal way and things like that are going to go a lot farther than spamming your band in comments and stuff like that.
I still do that even though when I do the other stuff, I want to point out.
Yeah, but you do it in kind of a funny way, but you also do it in a way that is actually pertinent to the conversation that's happening. Like you posted a band on Twitter. It was like somebody posted a list of death metal bands that people should be listening to, and you went, "Oh, you forgot this one," and tagged the band. So it's actually pertinent to the conversation, not just like, here, listen to my band.
What about when I tagged? What about when I tweeted that Trevor listened to Akiaville?
That is the incident that I'm talking about.
No, how is that the same thing? I just randomly tweeted, listen to Akiaville, didn't I?
No, you actually did it in response to one of his.
I thought I did an actual tweet saying, Trevor, I like this band. What do you think? Didn't I do that?
No, you did it in response to one of his tweets.
Oh, did I? Okay, so I was.
Yeah. And I was
okay.
trying to not shamelessly plug the band that I manage right there. So
Whatever.
good job ruining that.
Whatever. Where were we at here? Like I totally distracted us from the whole conversation. Networking. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the next thing, Holly. Before we move on to further questions, do you have any questions for us before I get into the next one?
Terrifying. Potentially.
Yeah, put me on the spot again.
This is my whole job in life is putting people on the spot.
Yeah, I guess I'd be interested to know, actually, have either of you noticed any, I don't know, I guess differences, whether it's in pitching or things like that, since, the pandemic started?
There is one pet peeve of mine since the pandemic started, that quit starting your pitch with, I hope you're doing well in these unprecedented or crazy or COVID or whatever times. Please, for the love of God, stop doing that.
Some people, I hate that.
I hate it. It's like, just, you don't need to, we all know that the pandemic is going on. It's been going on for over a year. Just say, I hope you're doing well. If you want to include some salutation of that nature, just stop referencing the pandemic, unless it's a band that formed during the pandemic or they've done something directly in relation to the pandemic. Just let it die, please.
Well, here's what I've noticed though, like at least for me personally, I'm doing a lot more pitching on social media than email. Like a ton more. Like a lot of times, like maybe if I'm pitching, for example, well, Corinne's a little bit different because we work closely together now, but like, for example, if I'm pitching Greg Kennedy at Metal Injection, I'll probably send him an email, but I'll also send him a Facebook message saying, hey, did you get my email? Type of thing, right? Or like, for example, if it's another, I mean, usually it's a journalist I know, right? It's not going to be like a random person, but most of the time. But I do a lot of follow-up by social media nowadays. That's what I personally do, rightly or wrongly. And so far, nobody's gotten pissed off that I'm aware of yet. Like Corinne got in touch with me via social media, so that was a successful action. But yeah, I mean, that's the changes I've seen personally. Any more questions before we move on, Holly?
That's probably everything, I think.
Oh my God, I thought you were going to ask us something like embarrassing or something like that. Okay, so next up.
What color our underwear are? Just
I don't even know. I don't pay that much attention for myself. So is there any successful actions you yourself have taken to land placements for bands specifically, other than just straight up pitching?
That's a good question. I think it's probably pretty much just straight up pitching with me, really.
You do not ever do anything like weird? Like, I mean, for example, I know I'm cutting you off, but like, for example, I sent gifts to Greg with the screen with, the what's it called? What's up gift? What's it called, Corinne?
The scary movie What's Up gift.
Yeah. Them an email which had the gift of you. I don't know if you know Scary Movie, but they're all like, "What's up?" And then I got a placement. You never do anything?
No, not quite. No, that's an interesting method.
You're gonna try this now, aren't you?
I might do. I'll see.
I will occasionally be really responsive to, like, if somebody random did that to me, that's one thing, but Curtis doing it, it's more acceptable because I know who he is.
Yeah.
But I honestly wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe I would read it if it was just some rando sending it to me, because it's so like, what the hell?
But then you delete it and like tweet, "What a fucking idiot," wouldn't you?
Yeah, probably.
Then it'll be like, "That was me." Anyways, so Holly, what you must have something good other than just straight pitching.
I'm trying to think now. I don't think I'm that interesting.
We're gonna have to teach you the ways of how to get interested. That way,
I'm clearly lacking the secret mystical PR ways.
Here's a
we're-
secret. I'm not that interesting either. Curtis is everything that is weird between Curtis and I. It's all Curtis. Curtis is the weird one.
no, that's not true. You're the one who watches Star Trek, I want to point out. But anyway.
Star Wars, get it right.
Right.
Okay. Come on now. I mean, I watch Star Trek too, but
Star Wars.
I mean,
all right.
I have Star Wars steins on my shelf. So
Okay. Back on track, people. Back on track, just briefly
Yeah.
here. I do like how this conversation's going though. So social media, Holly, let's talk a little bit about social media. Can you kind of go over the importance of social media for you as a publicist, a PR maven?
Yeah, it's social media is really interesting because I think it is important to keep up with it, and any changes and things like that are going on. But I think a lot of people and a lot of bands, they don't use it to its full potential, and I think a lot of people are kind of, I don't know, it sounds a bit ironic, they're quite unsocial on social media. It's about interacting, whether it's commenting on stuff from other musicians or their fans, or asking engaging questions, or just full on getting into conversations with people through direct messages and things like that. Yep. A lot of bands seem to assume that, they'll just follow a load of people and get a load of followers and that will equate to loads of album sales, and it doesn't.
Bullshit.
Got to build up the relationships. Because I've noticed I've started doing it a bit more with my band as well, really, taking time to, for example, thank people for following us, and that can then open a conversation which has led to a couple of digital download sales on Bandcamp and stuff like that. But it is time consuming, so I think people need to realize that with social media you've got to put in the time and the effort to get the rewards from it as well.
I agree. How much time per week would you say at a guess that it needs to be?
I don't know. It could depend. I'm probably spending a good 2 or 3 hours a week, maybe in total. But I tend to do it in bursts every single day.
You tend to do what every single day? I didn't hear
like
that.
Bursts of time on social. Oh, sorry. What did you?
I didn't understand the accent. I was like, what is she saying? I thought you were saying barf, and I was like, barf.
Oh, right.
Barf's
I understood you. So
I didn't.
Curtis is weird.
No, well, I didn't get the accent. I'm sorry. Anyways, go ahead, Holly. After I thought you were saying barf. Go ahead.
So yeah, probably like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 hours a week at the moment. If I do it all together.
That's just for your band though, or is that your band and PR?
That's pretty much just the band.
Yeah. And then PR.
To be honest, my PR slipped a little bit recently, so I'm probably only spending like half an hour on it.
A week or a day?
A week, not a day.
You're only spending half an hour a week on PR? How the hell is that possible? I'm like 4 hours.
Wait, on PR or PR social media? Hang on.
Like just in general, well, PR, like your PR work. I mean, like in general.
Yeah, more than that, like 15 hours a week.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Sorry, I thought you meant literally just on my.
No.
Yeah. No.
No. Okay. So you're doing about grand total of about 15 hours for PR, and then you said another 3 to 4 for your band, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How long do you think a regular band should be taking per week on their own social media? As a publicist, I just want to hear your own viewpoint on this.
Leading up to a campaign, possibly more like probably at least half an hour a day. Probably a little bit more depending on, I know it depends how many like comments and stuff I've got to respond to, but yeah, maybe half an hour a day.
Let me hear Corinne's thoughts now, because Corinne's the social media manager. I want to hear what she has to say on this one.
I would say a minimum of an hour a day to see consistent, sustained growth. If you're doing it right, you're going to spend more. Honestly, there should be one member of the band who pretty much that's what they do, is the social media. Because like for the band that I manage, they're on there like 3 hours a day, if not more. So it like I mean, I manage some big networks, and like in my day job, I manage all their social media, and it's always a minimum of an hour every day that you just sit down and you answer all of your comments that you've gotten, always respond to everyone. Even if it's just like a little heart emoji, just say something. And then
kissy faces like Lindsay does.
Well, Lindsay can get away with that. Cannibal Corpse, that might weird somebody out.
Fair.
My band, that might weird somebody out. The one that I manage. Actually, no, they're female. They're death metal, but they're female fronted. So, but that might get taken the wrong way.
Chris sent me a kissy face. That's why I said that, just so you know.
Okay. But yeah, so just get on, and then also remember to engage in like an organic way with people. So go to bands that you like and, comment on their stuff. Hey, I really liked your new single or whatever, but in a way that's authentic and not self-promotory, if that's a word, self-promotional. And do it for a minimum of an hour a day. And you will generally see some pretty good sustained growth throughout your social media channels.
What else do we need to cover? Because I think we got through all the questions, Corinne. I
think we might actually be out of time.
I think we are out of time. Holly, do you have anything else you want to say or mention?
I guess that's probably it. I think possibly covered everything, really.
Cool. So where should people follow you?
If they want to follow PR stuff, most of the social media I think will be deviate_PR.
Yep.
So yeah, should be able to hopefully find that on everything.
What about your band?
That will be disconnected_souls.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for all those?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. So follow Holly. So party on, Corey.
Party on, Curtis. Party on, Holly.